In this module, we are going to dive into the limitations of ChatGPT. Yet again, another kind of slow module where we aren't actually diving into ChatGPT and generating fun content and going through all these problem-solving paradigms and everything else. But what we are going to learn is the limitations of ChatGPT, because it's just as important to know the limitations as it is to know the possibilities. You need to know what ChatGPT is capable of to its full potential, and then potentially how you can overcome these limitations by adding some workarounds or by using some prompting techniques that I showed you in previous modules. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into some of the limitations of ChatGPT, and I'm going to try to make this as quick and efficient as possible, just as we did within the ethics module earlier on. ChatGPT limitation number 1 is that, yes, ChatGPT does make mistakes. It's not a super robot that gets every answer right and knows the solution to every single problem. It does make mistakes, and your answers do require double checking. But not only does it make mistakes, what it will do sometimes is make up a fake answer that sounds very right. So yeah, that's kind of weird in a way. And it's like someone raising their hand in school, being super confident that they got the answer right, but it's way off. You know, it will say, this is the answer. And when you actually double check the answer, sometimes it's not correct. So you do want to be careful if you're doing any computation or anything that requires the answer to be 100% right. That's why I like sticking to my creative writing and building stuff within ChatGPT, because when I need the answer to a question, relying on ChatGPT can sometimes be a little scary. ChatGPT 4 has gotten a lot better, I will tell you that. Beforehand, about 3 or 4 months ago, in early February or late January, ChatGPT had a lot more problems getting answers correct. So it's definitely gotten better, and it's an ever-evolving model. So that is the exciting part about this, is we don't have to worry about this for too much longer, I'm quite sure. ChatGPT limitation number 2 is sometimes it lacks human insight. So it kind of just takes things for face value, and it has a very neutral view, which can be a good thing, but also could be a bad thing depending on what you're using it for. Also, what it does is it just mimics what humans have said in the past. So it hasn't necessarily been through what humans have been through, and it can't feel anything that we actually feel in the real world. So when you're coming to ChatGPT for a solution, sometimes it can be difficult to get to that solution because the chatbot can only understand words that we have said in the past, not necessarily feelings or any real world activities. ChatGPT limitation number 3 is that it is limited on knowledge up to currently, I think, September of 2021. But anything before those years, it's pretty good on understanding the knowledge, history, and everything like that. But recent events today, it definitely does struggle with. That's why the web browsing update was so exciting, is because when you are researching something that has to be time sensitive or relevant, that web browsing plugin is going to come in handy. Although it's in beta right now, I am sure that in the future, this will be very useful. Now, there are more limitations to ChatGPT, but those are the ones that I found I struggle with the most. So ethical concerns and limitations kind of go hand in hand, you know. Some of the ethical concerns that I mentioned in the ethics module are also limitations of ChatGPT, like the incorrect answers or non-factual information. That could be considered a limitation as well as an ethical concern. But now we have a good grasp on the limitations of ChatGPT, so you aren't blindsided when you start generating answers. That's all I have for this one. I will see you in the next module.